Yo, what's up guys, I'm Yanick from the Producer School and today I will show you how to create an Afro House remix. Afro House remixes have been popping up all over the internet lately, with artists like Kind Music playing those remixes on the big stages. In this video, I will create an Afro House remix from scratch by turning a hit from the 90s and turning it into a modern Afro House track. I'll break down all the important aspects of an Afro House remix, such as the drums, percussion, vocals, bass and much more, so you can follow along and create your very own Afro House remix. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and with that being said, let's get straight into this. All the sounds that I'm using in this video come from our latest Afro House producer pack called Oasis, which contains serum presets, a sample pack, project files, vocals and so much more. So if you're looking for the perfect Afro House and melodic sounds, then click the link in the description or click the link over here. The first thing you need to do is to choose a song you want to remix. For this video, I'm using a 90s R&B hit from Sade called No Ordinary Love. And these 90s R&B hits just really work well to turn them into an Afro House track. I loaded up two things in my DAW. The first one is the original track, which sounds a bit like this. And the second thing I loaded up is the a cappella of the song, which I made using an AI vocal extractor. I will leave a link in the description for that. Just really easy. You load in a song and then it just extracts the vocals for you, which sounds like this. This is no ordinary love. Let's time stretch the vocal because right now it's way too slow. The original is in 83 BPM, so let's set the BPM of the project to that as well. And then for the vocal, let's just go to mode and then select stretch like this. And now just speed up the tempo to 120 because that's the tempo that works well for Afro House. And then the vocal sounds like this. This is no ordinary love. Let's improve this vocal by adding some effects, put it in a mixer channel. Let's add some EQ to boost and remove some frequencies. This is no ordinary love. Boost off that high end to get a little bit more clarity. This is no ordinary love. Let's add an OTT for some multiband compression real quick. This is no ordinary love. No ordinary love. A simple delay with a preset I made called Simple Vox. This is no ordinary love. No ordinary love. And let's add a reverb as well to make it sound a little bit bigger. A big whole reverb. This is no ordinary love. No ordinary love. This is no ordinary love. Let's add a kick drum to get a groove going. I'm using this kick from our Oasis pack, and it's this really deep kick, which has a little bit of punch as well. Let's just keep it simple like this. Copy it a few times. And now let's time the vocal so it's probably on the one of the beat. That should work. I already loaded up a bunch of different sounds. For instance, this bass that I'll be using in this track. It's a preset also from our Oasis pack called Milk. It's this Reese bass that also has a fifth note on it with oscillator B, which adds a little bit more harmonics, so it's better hearable in the mix. Let's draw in the bass line in a new pattern. It should start on a B, I think. Here. And let's put it underneath the vocal so we have an idea of how it will sound. Then it should go to G, then A, and then E, I think. Yes. Okay, now I want to add some extra notes in between, so it's a little bit more interesting. So let's do an A here. And the same pattern here, maybe. Like this, maybe. That sounds okay. Let's put the bass in a mixer channel so we can mix it a little bit better with the kick. Let's first add an EQ and remove some of that high end. Maybe add a distortion plugin before this, so it adds a little bit more warmth and extra harmonics. I'm using Decapitator from Soundtoys, but you can basically use any distortion plugin. Just lower down the wet level a lot, so it's just barely hearable. It's adding this nice warm drive to the bass. And let's also add a kickstart 2 for some basic sidechaining so it doesn't clash with the kick. Let's see how that sounds. Let's drag down the volume of the bass. Now let's start building out the drums of this track. First of all, I'm going to add a tom, which is this really electronic sounding tom, also from our Oasis pack, and this will just help with the groove because the Reese bass is just a long sustained bass, and the toms will help to get like a rhythm going. That can work. Let's just repeat it for all the bars. Let's add it in a mixer channel, remove a little bit of the low end because the bass is already taking care of that. So let's just drag it down a little bit. Now let's add some really big cinematic sounding toms that will really accentuate the rhythm. I'm using these two toms for that. And this one. And let's create a rhythm for those. Something like that. Maybe go with tom 9 here. That works. Let's just repeat it a bunch of times. And let's remove the tom over here at the second and fourth bar. So it's not always the same. This really adds that kind of Alex 1 sound to the track. Let's mix these toms. Let's put both of them into one mixer channel. Let's hit Ctrl L, so they are there. Let's add a little bit of distortion with Decapitator to make them a little bit more like fat. And let's add an EQ to remove some low frequencies. Not all of them. And let's drag down the volume as well. I'm also going to lay a snare underneath those toms, which is this snare from the Oasis pack. Let's create a new pattern and basically just play the same rhythm as the toms over here. I'm using the piano roll because I want to create some velocity changes, so how loud the sample is played, and I can really do that easily with the MIDI velocity over here, which I will show you in a bit. Let's first create the rhythm. So for instance, I want this hit to be a little bit lower in volume, so I can just drag down the MIDI velocity over here. And this is adding some like kind of realism to the snare. I want to create a kind of snare roll sound. And to do this, I'm gonna put in like 4 really fast ones. So 4 really fast hits. And then let's tweak the velocity so it kind of fades in. Do it like this. You kind of get that marching band sound, marching drums. It's a cool effect. That sounds cool. Let's rename this to snare. And let's put the snare in a mixer channel. Let's add some EQ to boost the high end. And a bit of Valhalla room to give it some reverb. So then it sounds like it's more like played in a room, real drums. Let's also add a fruity stereo shaper to make the snare really wide in the mix. If you listen on headphones or speakers, you will hear this. Let's add some shaker loops like this one. Drag down the volume. This shake loop as well. And this percussion loop, which is also adding some more kind of rhythm to the track. Let's mix it in properly. I want to add some reverb to it because it sounds a little bit too dry in the mix, I think. Let's just do that with Fruity Reverb 2. Short decay time. Something like that. Now let's start working on the synths. First of all, I'm going to add this high kind of synth percussion sound. It's a sequence preset from our Oasis pack, which sounds like this. Let's play it higher. And those kind of tonal synth percussion sound is something that you can hear in a lot of Afro House tracks. Let's create a new pattern and just let's say on the root note of the track. Put it on B5 here. Drag it down. And then let's put it here on top of everything. Now let's add that typical Afro House plug lead sound, which sounds like this. It's just a really simple sound, which is this saw plug that plays on the root note of your track. It's a really simple sound, but you can hear it in so many Afro House tracks and remixes. Let's put in some notes. This could work. It needs some work on the mixing part. So let's add an EQ. Let's remove some low frequencies. Let's add an OTT for some multiband compression. And I feel like it needs a reverb as well. Something like that. And let's also add a kickstart to the plug for some sidechaining. In the second part of the drop, I want to introduce some chords with a piano. For that, I will be using a plugin from Arturia called Piano V3. This one is an upright preset, which sounds pretty good. I came up with these chords that follow the same bass notes as the bass line I already created. Let's put it on top of the second part of the drop. Add an EQ to the mixer to remove the low end. A big reverb, so a lot of decay. And a kickstart for a little bit of sidechaining. Not too much. Something like this. Let's add some ambient sounds to the track so it's a little bit more like real sounding. I know how to explain it, but kind of a real recording. This one. And let's drag down the volume of it. And let's also add this atmosphere sound, which is a sustained drone. Adds a bit more atmosphere to the track. Just low in volume. And maybe a downlifter like this one. To make the drop hit a little bit harder. There should be another downlifter right here. Or uplifter. Here. You can create this nice transition to the drop. Just some basic white noise. Nothing crazy. And in the second part of the drop, I want to introduce another shaker loop, which is this, let me search for it, a tambourine loop. Sounds like this. Let's add some kickstart to it for some sidechaining. And this clap, just a really simple, real sounding clap. This one. Just on every 2 and 4. I arranged the track a little bit more. I added this kind of build up, which has a few elements of the drop playing, like the plug, the bass, and some drums, and the vocal as well. The part of the pre-chorus, and then after the drop there is a little outro, which is just playing all the elements except for the vocal, and then this is the final result. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and hopefully you can create your own Afro House remixes now. If you have any questions about things I did in the production process of this remix, then let me know in the comments and I will try to help you on there. There are more videos coming soon on Afro House, and for now I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.